Hamzambo familia. Welcome to our classes for the weekend. I do hope that you're doing wonderful and that you are excited to be with us on yet another beautiful episode where we connect and get to learn Swahili. I do know that this is an African language that most of us have an interest in because it is the most prolific African language, and it is actually spoken by over 200 million speakers on and off the continent, and that is why we, as a Black Hotfire Network family, have chosen to engage in these classes. We get to teach you Swahili. We have been doing it for a while now, and we have had Swahili classes, I believe, since 2019. And it has been wonderful. For those that have been with us along the journey, I do believe that right now you are much better off than you are when you started with us right here on the Black Hotfire Network. And that is why we do say that it is better to be consistent and stay focused when you're with us and when you're trying to learn this beautiful language of Swahili. It is an East African language. If you go to places such as Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, Burundi, the DRC, you will be able to interact with so many people that are able to speak in the language fluently. And therefore, it is our hope and our purpose to be able to also share this particular knowledge of the language with you right here on this particular platform. And in case you do have any questions at any particular point, please feel free to ask. You can engage with us. In Swahili, we do say uliza swali. Uliza swali lolote. You can ask any question, and we would be more than glad to answer to your questions and be more than glad to just respond to any matter that you'd like to address, whether be it in regards to anything that you have learned in previous classes, whether be it in terms of anything that you would like to have addressed regarding Swahili. We have learned that in the Swahili language, we do have 5 vowels, and we can use the palm to just demonstrate. For example, you can say this is A, E, O, U. Those are the 5 vowels in Swahili. And this is the English letter A, the English letter E, the English letter I, the English letter O, and the English letter U. So those constitute the 5 vowels in Swahili: A, E, O, U. And when you talk about the consonants are made up of all the letters of the English alphabet, apart from X and Q. So you realize that we have learned that in Swahili we do not have the letters X and Q, and therefore if you come across any word with the letter X or across any word with the letter Q, then you can be sure that that is not a Swahili word. For example, if you're talking about these consonants, you can have the consonant, for example, in the word duka. For example, in the word duka, duka simply means a shop. Duka simply means a shop. And if anyone wants to say, for example, they are headed to the shop or I'm going to the shop, you would say ninaelekea dukani or ninaenda dukani. So the word duka, this has the duka, this is a shop, duka, this is a shop, duka is a shop. And so this has the vowel, the consonant da, and the vowel o, consonant ka, and the vowel a. So Swahili is a language that is made up of syllables with alternating vowel sounds. Syllables with alternating vowel sounds. So if you're talking about, for example, the word soma, soma is just a word that means read. It's just a word that means read. And therefore, if you, for example, say read a book, you would say soma kitabu, but this soma is made up of 2 syllables, the so and ma, and the so has a vowel o and the ma has a vowel a. So therefore, you're talking about soma kitabu kizuri. For example, soma kitabu kizuri, soma kitabu kizuri. That will be read a good book. Read a good book. But realize that this language has a gist to it. You know, it does not just happen to have all these clusters of consonants. It is made up of, consonants and vowels, and the syllables have alternating vowel sounds. So realize that if you're talking about even how the language sounds, it's actually a very, very easy language to your ear. And if you're talking about the interactions on a normal day-to-day basis, of course, you have to, share greetings with someone. And the easiest way you can do that is saying simply by saying jambo. Jambo has two syllables. The syllable ja and mbo. You can say jambo, and whomever receives your greetings would simply say si jambo, si jambo, si jambo. And if you're saying hello to a group of people, we said that you normally would say hamjambo, 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 hamjambo. And the way they would respond is ha to jambo, ha to jambo. And last week we were learning about the words that come up in day-to-day conversations, and we were also learning about things that you do on a day-to-day basis. And we did say if you wake up, you would say amka, amka, amka. So if someone was to tell you amka sasa, we learned that sasa is just an emphasis and it means now, now. So if someone says amka sasa, what they're talking about is wake up now, wake up now. And if someone is talking about ondoka sasa, that is with the vowel or, in the word ondoka. Ondoka simply means to leave. So if someone says ondoka sasa, it simply means they are asking you to leave now. They are asking you to leave now. And what you get to learn with Swahili is that, and even with any other language, I normally do say that what you can do in terms of if you want to learn a language faster, you have to keep on practicing. You have to keep on practicing the language, because we all know that practice makes perfect. And therefore, if you're trying to learn this beautiful language, the best thing I would actually urge you to do is simply to learn the language by practicing. So if you practice, the more you practice, the more it becomes easier for you. And not just that, another thing that you ought to do is to make sure that you are practicing the language with friends and with colleagues, so that they can help to keep you accountable. Because a language is not a thing, a communication, which is a language, a tool for communication. You do not just do communication by yourself, you have to communicate and engage with other people. And therefore, that is why I am saying it is important that you engage other people even in your journey to learn Swahili. Even in your journey to learning Swahili, it is important that you get to engage people, and that you also get to stay accountable on your journey. Because if you decide, for example, that you shall spare maybe perhaps 4 hours per week, 4 hours per week to learn the language of Swahili, then it is important for you to simply commit to that particular schedule and learn consistently. Because if you take breaks, then it means it will become difficult for you to learn these beautiful language. So when we were learning last week, we said that you have nouns. In Swahili, we call them majina or nomino, majina or nomino. And therefore, if you're talking about the name of a place, the name of a thing, the name of an idea, the name of a concept, the name of a person, we call these nouns. But in Swahili, we call them nomino, all majina, nomino, all majina, nomino, all majina, majina. And we did say, if you trying to introduce yourself, or if you're actually introducing yourself, you would actually introduce your name, and the name is known as Jina. Jina is a name. Jina is a name. So therefore, you would say, Jina langu ni Spikes. Jina langu ni Spikes. My name is Spikes. Jina langu ni Spikes. My name is Spikes. But in the context of names, the names of things, the names of places, the names of ideas, the names of, the nouns, we do call them majina, all nomino. And when it comes to learning the Swahili, the grammar of the Swahili, when it comes to nouns, there is what you call the classes of nouns. We have different noun classes. In Swahili, we call them ngeli. Ngeli is a nomino, or ngeli is a majina. And these ngeli za majina, they actually just categorize or put the nouns in different stratas. For example, we have the first class of nouns, which we call the wa class of noun. The wa. This is the wa class of noun. And this wa class of noun is constitutes the names of people and things, people and living things. For example, animals. For example, you might say, if you are a farmer, if you're a farmer, we do say mkulima, which is a farmer. So these constitute the Swahili words that start with the consonant in their singular form, and they start with the syllable wa in their plural form. So, for example, mkulima is one farmer, but if you're talking about many farmers, you would actually say wakulima. Wakulima is a farmers. Wakulima is a farmers. This is farmers. Wakulima is farmers. Wakulima is farmers. For example, if you also to talk about something like students, you would say mwanafunzi, mwanafunzi, and then you would say that is a student. And then in their plural form, you would actually say wanafunzi. In their plural form, you would say wanafunzi. If you're talking about children or kids, if you're talking about a child, you would say mtoto in the singular, and watoto in the plural. Form. So if you're talking about watoto wetu, you're talking about our children, you would say watoto wetu. But if you're talking about one child, you would say mtoto wetu, which is one child, our child, mtoto wetu. And if you to give more examples of the wa class of noun, you can think about anything. For example, if you're talking about mwanaspoti is a sports person, mwanaspoti. If you're talking about many sports people, you would say wanaspoti, and that is how simply you put it. If you're talking about something like a reporter, you might say mwanahabari, and if you're talking about many reporters, you would say wanahabari. So mwanahabari is one, mwanahabari is for one journalist, or a reporter is just the same, a journalist. But if you're talking about many, you would say wanahabari. So it's not even difficult. So if you are maybe perhaps to describe them, you would actually start with the subject, which is mwanahabari, and then you would give their character or their adjective. You would say mzuri. For example, mwanahabari mzuri, or mwanahabari hodari, talking about a popular journalist. So that would be mwanahabari hodari. That is how you would say. You might say, for example, if you spoke to a popular journalist, you would say nilizungumza na mwanahabari hodari. Mwanahabari hodari. That is how you would say it. But when it comes to more examples, you might even give an example of mpishi. Mpishi is a cook. Mpishi is a cook. But if you're talking about many cooks, you would say wapishi. Wapishi. That is for many cooks. You would say wapishi, for many cooks. So it depends on this is dependent on the wa class of noun, and the wa class of noun mostly it's it talks about people, different categories of people. You might talk about an athlete who is mwanaspoti. Talk about a journalist, mwanahabari. You might talk about mpishi, that is a cook. You might talk about mkulima, mwanafunzi. All these, they do fall in the wa class of nouns. in Swahili, we do say ngeli ya kwanza ya wa. You might say wanahabari wanaongea na wenyeji. Wanahabari wanaongea na wenyeji, which means that the journalists are speaking with the locals. Now, mwenyeji, if you're talking about one individual, is a local, or if you're talking about many, you would say wenyeji. But those are a few examples of the or class of nouns. It's not difficult. Apart from that, we do have the second noun class, and the second noun class, it's known as the key V class of noun. This is ngeli, the key V. And these mostly constitutes of inanimate objects, non-living objects. For example, a chair or a seat. For a seat, you would say kiti. You would say kiti. Kiti is a chair. Kiti is a chair, which is a chair. If you're talking about many seats, or if you're talking about many chairs, you would actually say viti. You would actually say viti, V-I-T-I. That is for many chairs, or the singular or the plural form of a chairs, many chairs. So if someone is saying kiti changu, my chair or my seat, then if you wanted to put that in the plural form, you would say viti vyangu. So that falls in the key V class of noun. And the key V class of nouns constitutes all nouns that do start with the syllable ki in their singular and the syllable V in their plural. The syllable V in their plural. So that is how those actually are. The two of those actually do work out, the or and the key V. The key V. Apart from that, we do have, I think we can give a few more examples of the key V. For example, I did say kiti. You may talk about let me just see what other examples. Kisu, Kisu, which means a knife, But if you're talking about many knives, in the kitchen, and you're talking about many knives, you would say visu, visu, visu for knives, Visu is for knives. Apart from that, if you're trying to get someone to give you a knife or to pass you a knife, you would say nipe kisu kimoja. Nipe kisu will be give me, or the pass me the knife. Give me a knife. Give me a knife. Nipe kisu. But if you're talking about give me knives, you would say nipe visu. And that is simply how you would say it. Swahili is not difficult. I think those two, the first two noun classes, they are very, very popular. And if you're just trying to converse and you're just having to have conversations, and you come up, you talk about the names of inanimate objects. Most of these inanimate objects, in their singular form, they do start with a key, and in their plural form, they do start with a V. And that is how you get to recognize and realize them. You get to recognize and categorize them rather. So in case you do have a question, please ask. In case you do have a question, please ask. I would love to respond. To to any question, because at the end of the day, you want to be an active learner, not a passive one. And the way to learn better is simply by just asking a question so that we can engage. And once we do, you can be able to be better at your knowledge of Swahili compared to how your knowledge was at the start of this particular class. So kindly ask a question if you do have a question. If not, we shall proceed We do have the G ma class of noun, the G ma, and the G is J-I-M-A. This is that class of nouns. For example, you're talking about the eyes. Your eyes, we do say jicho. Jicho, jicho simply means the eye. If you're talking about one eye, you're pointing to your eye. You might say jicho langu linauma, which is my eye is aching or my eye is hurting. But if you're talking about many eyes, you would say macho yangu yanauma, macho yangu yanauma. So in the singular, we talk about G, the syllable G, all the nouns that start with the syllable G in their singular, and then they start with the syllable ma in their plural form, the syllable ma in their plural form. So jicho is a singular and macho is a plural form. If you're talking about that is actually a very easy example to understand. But any noun that starts with a G in the syllable G in the singular, and the syllable ma in their plural sense, then that falls in the G ma class of noun. The G ma class of noun, and that is what you can say. For example, jicho langu linauma, macho yangu yanauma. That is just to say that maybe your eye is hurting or maybe your eye is aching. So the more sensible thing after that, you would say tafadhali nipe dawa if you're talking to a doctor, because nipe dawa simply means just that you're requesting for medicine, because dawa, D-A-W-A, is just for medicine. Dawa is for medicine. Dawa is for medicine. That is simply how you put it together. Nipe dawa, that is all ninataka. Ninataka, that is a phrase that we have all learned. Ninataka, which is I want. So if someone says ninataka dawa, it simply means that they are looking for medicine. They are looking for medicine. Or ninataka kutibiwa, ninataka tiba. Tiba means a cure. Tiba means a cure. So if someone says ninataka tiba, it means I am looking for a cure. I am looking for a cure for whatsoever thing that you are talking about. So thank you for your interest in learning these language of Swahili. We never take your company for granted, and we appreciate you for taking your time to join us right here for the Swahili classes. We know that it takes commitment. You cannot learn any language without commitment. It takes real commitment to learn the language, and not just commitment, but even persistence. You know, if you're not persistent at the language, you drop in one class, maybe it's in September, and then maybe one class in November or October. It means that there's a lack of consistency. But if you're consistent and you stay consistent at it, then you would be able to learn this beautiful language much more easier. And that is what we would urge you to do, much more easier. I also want to thank Keith for giving us this platform, and also for anyone and everyone that has been a part of the Black Hot Fire Network family, whether be it when we started Swahili or as we have been through this particular journey of learning the language. But we want to appreciate you for taking your time and just supporting and being part of this particular platform. Remember, you can sign up on the social community page on the Black Hot Fire Network website. It's www.blackhotfirenetwork.com. Once you are on there, just click on the social icon. Kindly do click on the social icon. And once you click on that icon, it will help you sign up and join the rest of the like-minded, individuals who are after just seeing, our people be more unified globally, and just play part in the awakening of our people globally as well. We do know that apart from the African continent, if you go to Brazil, that is where we do have the largest population of Africans, I would say the continent. And I would love to see this Swahili language also become more embraced in Brazil. And it would actually be a very, very good thing. If we did have the Brazilians, I'm talking about the people of African descent in Brazil, who make up the wider part of the population of Africans anywhere else outside the continent, also have an interest in the language, and also language is also another tool of reconnecting the root and your identity, and just getting to reconnect with who you are. I think language creates a very, very wonderful platform for that. So even for Brazilians, for African people of African descent in Brazil, I think it would actually be a very, very wonderful thing if they also got to learn and embrace the language of Swahili in a big way. Apart from that particular place, we also do have South Africa. Recently, there was a memorandum signed between Kenya and South Africa so that you can have more of the tutors, Swahili tutors or teachers that go to South Africa and teach people there. The recent one to join the bandwagon in terms of learning Swahili as a block is Somalia, because Somalia also want to be part of, to fast track its integration with the rest of the East Africa community. And therefore, they have adopted the use of Swahili, the learning of Swahili in their national curriculum. And maybe perhaps if Ethiopia was also keen on the same, and maybe Sudan, they would also embrace the language of Swahili in their curriculum. So my name is Spikes, and thank you so much once again for joining us in class. We are learning about nouns in Swahili grammar, and we are saying that noun is a name of a thing, a name of a place, a name of an idea, and how you get to call them in Swahili is nomino, all majina, nomino, all majina. So yes, a noun is a word that names a person, a place, a thing, or an idea. It can refer to specific entities. For example, George Washington, a person; Omaha, a place; book, a thing, as well as an abstract concept like kindness, which is an idea. But in Swahili, we call that jina, all majina, all nomino, as we have said right above there. That is what we call them. And to help us understand better when it comes to nouns, we have noun classes, different noun classes. The wa class of noun. We have the me class of noun as well, the me class of noun. And the me class of noun, this constitutes all the nouns that start with the consonant in their singular and the consonant me in their plural. For example, we talk about the me. We talk about um, um, natural occurrence or yes, natural occurrence. For example, a mountain. A mountain in Swahili is known as mlima. Mlima, that is a mountain. But if you're talking about many mountains, we do call that milima. We do call that milima. Mlima is one, but if you're talking about many of them, we do call them milima. Milima is mountains. Mountains. Mountain is one, but if you're talking about many, we say milima. If you're talking about a river, you would say mto. If you're talking about a river, you would say mto, which is a river. But if you're talking about many rivers, you would say mito, mito, mito. For many rivers, that would be many rivers. That is simply how you would say it. And that now falls in the me class of nouns. The me class of noun. Remember, you talked about the wa class of noun. For example, wanafunzi. We have talked about the G ma class of nouns. For example, jicho, macho. Now we are talking about the me class of nouns. This is just to help us categorize and to help us better understand how you put together nouns. It's not difficult. It's very, very easy. And the more you practice, the more it becomes, you get to understand it better. The more you practice, the more it becomes easier for you. And noun classes is a thing that you get to learn. We get to learn and commit time to that. Because you do not just come in one day and learn all the nouns and then put them in a category. You just happen to learn as you proceed, and we commit more time to doing that. So if you do have a question, yes, kindly ask. If you do have a question, kindly ask. If not, I think we shall stop our class today for this particular juncture. We shall pick it up and we shall be able to do learn much more. But for me, I would actually just ask you to check out the Duolingo app. You know, the Duolingo app, it's very, very yeah, easy. And also you can use the Swahili dictionary, which is also known as the Kamusi. Apart from that, we have all these resources online of us doing these classes. And we do hope that you are able to catch up and find out, find these particular archives of classes that we have done over time. You can head over to this particular channel, this one that we are live on, or you can search for Black Hotfire Africa, search for the Swahili classes on there, and you find a whole lot of big archive on there as well. So thank you so much for taking your time. We never take your company for granted. We shall be learning about noun classes. That is where we shall take up our next class from there. And then we shall also go into verbs. Sorry, before we go to verbs, we shall go into pronouns, and then go into verbs. That is how gradually we shall be able to understand this beautiful language of Swahili. It's an African language with an Arab influence. You know, some people tell you, oh, it's not a Bantu language. This is actually a Bantu language with Arab influence, and it is actually older than the Arabic language. So therefore, Swahili has its place. And every 17th of July, we get to learn this language. We get to highlight the day as the International Day of Swahili and get to mark the significance of this language because over time we believe that it shall be very, very instrumental in terms of uniting our people, not just the continent, but even globally, people of African descent everywhere. I do believe you'd have an interest in this beautiful language of Swahili. Once again, much peace and love. I want to wish you happy and a productive rest of the day and also a wonderful weekend. For now, it's me, Spikes, signing out. Till our next class, I want to say, kwaheri ya kuonana.